joke in the office that when I come across a patient who defines Snail Mucin as one of the products that they're using in their skincare routine, that there's better chance than not that they are down that rabbit hole of social media trying to figure out which skincare products to choose. Now, Snail Mucin is not one of those products you're going to walk into a drugstore or a beauty store and find big signs for. This is really one of those products that you're really going to come across if you're in social media and in deep. In my practice, I come across mostly teens and tweens using Snail Mucin. Every now and again, I'll come across a patient who's in her 20s or 30s, but very rarely older than that. Now, what is Snail Mucin? Snail Mucin is one of those ingredients that was made popular by K-beauty or Korean beauty. It fits the bill for what many K-beauty products have. K-beauty or Korean beauty really pays special attention to natural sounding ingredients, as well as special attention to that sensory neural experience that goes into applying a skincare product. There's this cosmetic elegance that can be found in applying some of these ingredients. Now, Snail Mucin is an ingredient that fits these criteria. It sounds natural, it sounds like it comes from nature, and yes, when you apply it, it's perfect for social media videos because it has an instant glistening effect on the skin, so you can really see it on your skin and feel as though your skin glows by its instant application. Are there actual benefits to Snail Mucin? And this is where it becomes really tricky to navigate what's in your product versus what might be in some limited studies that use Snail Mucin for various medical conditions. There are some studies that have evaluated using Snail Mucin to treat radiation dermatitis as well as in wound healing. Now here we have to go through some details about what Snail Mucin even is to understand if what you're getting in your product is what is found in those studies. Now, Snail Mucin is generally derived from snails, and they basically excrete it on various parts of their body to serve various functions. Now, not all snails are the same, not all mucin derived from snails is the same. There are over 40,000 species of snails, and on the snail's body, the snail mucin produced varies based on the portion of the body it comes from. The mucin that's secreted on the underside of a snail where it migrates across different platforms is meant to be stickier to allow it to adhere to surfaces. The mucin that's produced on the back of a snail may have some protective qualities from dehydration and maybe even some antimicrobial properties as well. The medical studies available on Snail Mucin for radiation dermatitis, photoaging of the skin, were very particular types of snails that were studied and very particular types of mucin from those snails that was extracted for those studies. What are you getting in your skincare versus in those studies? Probably not the same thing. The only way to really know is to actually look at your Snail Mucin product and check to see if you can answer some questions. Does your product tell you which snail the mucin was derived from? Which portion of the body the mucin was derived from? How was the mucin derived from the snail? How did they actually extract the mucin from that snail? What are the claims being made by the product, and can it even do what it says it's going to do? And the absolute most important question to answer is, are there any claims on the product as to whether or not there's been third-party testing to see if it clogs your pores? Now, this is the most important part of this because the patients I'm seeing in my office that are using Snail Mucin have almost every pore on their facial skin is clogged. This is disturbing. There are very few products that do that, but it is understandable that Snail Mucin could. It serves a barrier function for snails, and it has an adherent property to it. And many of the products that my patients are getting, especially off of Amazon and other sellers, actually have in some of the blurbs that we've come across that the mucin is derived after allowing a snail to migrate across a platform and then extracting it from the surface. This implies that the mucin is being derived from the bottom of the snail. That's the mucin that's going to be the stickiest, the thickest, and actually have adherent properties to it, which makes me worry or wonder if that particular type of mucin could pose a higher risk for triggering acne and clogging our pores. This is really challenging in practice because when you have patients that come in with acne that diffuse, we have to be a bit more aggressive to try to treat it because our worry is that it could progress into cystic acne. Always remember that acne starts off in stages. Our pores go through various stages before they truly become nodular cystic acne, And inflammatory acne, there is a series of stages our pores will go through where if we can stop it at the beginning, we run a lower risk of getting further down the line. First, our pores get clogged. They're clogged long enough, will get inflamed, especially by the presence of bacteria in our pores called Cutibacterium acnes. If that inflammation occurs, you're already at risk for at least temporary scarring. But if it persists and those pores continue to enlarge and you progress into nodular cystic acne, then we've got a real problem because one, our topical therapeutics have limited effect and we may have to use oral options to treat your breakouts. But also remember that nodular cystic acne, whether or not you pick or squeeze your acne, has a risk of scarring just because it's there. The depth of the acne in your skin actually triggers a breakdown of collagen from the inflammation deep inside of your pores. This isn't because you squeezed or picked your acne, it's just because of how deep it was in your skin in the first place. You need to avoid using products that could trigger that type of breakout. If you're using Snail Mucin because you're looking for glistening skin or you're using it because you think it might help with your acne, definitely take a step back and make sure that whatever product you're getting has third-party testing on it that claims that it is non-comedogenic. Ensure that that's there so that you don't run the risk of using a product that can flare or trigger acne in the first place. Also remember, if there is some perceived imperfection about your skin that you're trying to address, you're much better off in the hands of talking to a dermatologist to actually find out what best steps to take to avoid wasting money on unnecessary products with claims that are very difficult for it to achieve. Remember, if the glistening effect is all you're looking for, you could probably achieve that far safer with just plain Vaseline or petroleum jelly, which actually is non-comedogenic and is less likely to trigger breakouts than other products.